I'm pretty darn good. I'm proud of what my father taught me before me and all of my mentors and the work that I've done. I don't take enough time to train and teach because that's not, the next generation. And so, I do tell them, you can ask me anything. I'm here. I will help you. And there are no dumb questions, even to the point of let's take some time to go through the statement, but to put curriculum together, I don't have that.
Yeah. Well, listen, you don't have to have that. And I say that honestly, because we built our platform to welcome advisors like yourself and others who say, I have a day job. I have like 50 other things I'm doing. But if I had a curriculum that could support my clients
or whatever. Yeah. And that's why you exist today.
That's why we exist, because I'm not scalable. You're not scalable. But if we have learning that's anywhere, anytime, asynchronous and accessible, people can actually, you'd be amazed. I think there's more evidence now to support that self-study is growing leaps and bounds thanks to the pandemic. But the reality is there's this generation of millennials and up and comers are pretty geared at they go and find what they want and they do it. And then those that want additional support and mentoring either know who they want that mentoring to come from, or they already have a system, or they have resources to find the right folks. What we're excited about is that we feel like we have a great amount of data and information that's really organized smartly and intuitively. So you can find it, you can go through it linearly through our progression, or if you're like, I'm looking for this or looking for that, we have search features. We have a lot of ways to make it accessible and fun. We have learning checks, we have quizzes, we have games, we have activities. So it's not just online, it's multimodal.
Love it. So you should lot to be proud of. That's a pretty hefty accomplishment. Nice job.
Well, it's the gift that keeps on giving, Michael, because it's honestly never done. And thanks to, everything that happens on an almost daily basis, we can update and add new content, new curriculum, be it cryptocurrency debacle and what can we learn, right, from that whole FTX debacle. Yep. To, what can we learn from what happened in our banking and regulatory environment recently with Silicon Valley Bank. So there's a lot of opportunity that we like to leverage with real-time examples and cases. So we have anonymized cases, but we actually have a lot of stories of real people, real families that's based off of what's publicly available.
Okay. Yeah, I was just recording a show a little while ago and talking about Tony Hsieh, the founder of Zappos. And it was great job of building culture and doing some wonderful things about building a business, no estate plan. And we're, so it's and that's all public information. And so, yes, there's tons of examples of why are we doing what we're doing. And it's important to learn. We need to learn our blind spots. What don't we know? What are the questions? Like you said earlier, how am I supposed to be judging my advisors? I have no idea whether, most people don't have an idea how they should judge those people. And so to set those parameters up is wonderful. And if you Google on the internet what they say about hiring like a wealth manager, I think that just scratches the scratch of what you need to know. It's, here's the questions to ask. Well, anybody can answer the questions, right? But do they really have the muster to be able to deliver?
Yeah. Well, similarly with hiring a multifamily office or any institutional advisor. I mean, now in Tamarind, in the handbook, we have a whole litany of questions that go so far beyond. And a lot of folks don't sort of realize why it's so important to know if your RIA is also coupled with a broker dealer, which is also coupled with a custodial relation, so to understand sort of what you think you are buying and all the different services that might look like, oh, they're not connected. And then you're like, oh no, they're all under the same parent company or holdco. So even things like, did you look at the form ADV? And people are like, what? And we're like, yeah, you want to read what their disclosures are. Like, have they ever been written up? Have they had a fraudulent activity or, be dinged by the SEC? So again, I think there's a lot of really, really important things, whether it's an advisor or it's actually an institution, to know how to be able to really do the diligence.
And then Tamarind Partners does all the work for the family offices and provides, consulting services to help them individually as well, correct?
Yeah, so Tamarind Partners is interesting. I call myself a translator. So having worked inside of operating family office entities, MFO included, I can translate to owners sometimes things that they don't understand what their people do.
Got it.
Okay. And vice versa. I can hear owners say, this is what I really want. Is my family office doing it or able to do this? And then another major time I get hired is transitions. And I'm not just talking about succession, but I'm talking about like trust termination. I'm talking about retirement of key figures. I'm working for one office right now that's been actually unwinding over several years. And that requires a whole different skill set to think about uncoupling, but still maintaining certain level of service.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of complexity. And guess what? Every family and every family office I walk into, I go to it with, again, a beginner lens, thanks to Jay Hughes. I don't assume anything. And people say, well, isn't there a best practice? Shouldn't we always do this or that? And I said, you know what? Every family is going to have their own bespoke needs. And what worked for this family, that might be who you idolize. Well, that may not work for you.
Right.
So there is a lot of work that has to be done at different ages and stages of both the entity itself, but also of the family. And then I sometimes have to poke the family to say, you've overbuilt or you've underbuilt. Like you have too much stuff, or maybe you don't have enough infrastructure. To help them think about the resourcing paradigm to how to support what the mandate is. And then, oh, by the way, there's this thing called a budget, and what does it all cost and who pays for it and how does that get done? And sometimes that is very differently received from, one generation that set up a family office to subsequent generations who are like, oh, I have to pay for this now, or this is how much it really costs. And you're like, yeah, this is how much it really costs.
Yeah.
So, nothing is for free. And, family offices are certainly a paradigm that is not for free.